Hey, everybody, welcome to a bonus episode of the Vanderbloemen Podcast. We're thrilled you're here. If you've been around for a while, you know we put a book out in November, Be the Unicorn. We actually studied the best candidates we've ever interviewed and then their job performance as well. And we found like the best of the best. And there were 30,000 of them we studied. We said, do they have anything in common? And the answer was yes. And we found 12 habits that they practice, which means anyone can become one of these unicorns. So today we're going to focus with a guy who's given me way more time than I deserve over the years, Dave Ramsey. Dave, welcome.
Well, good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, you too. You too. I'd say, how are you doing? But I think it's better than you deserve, right?
Always. It's dependable, yeah.
Well, Dave, people don't know, but like way early in the history of our company, you were kind and came alongside me. I don't know how long you'd been doing entree leadership, but Adrienne and I went together and she insisted that we go. And I went because if she'd have gone alone, she might have run off with you because she's a pretty big fan. But it really changed us. And this is, Dave didn't ask me to do this, but if you're not aware of what entree leadership is, I know there are a lot of business owners out there. I know there are a lot of pastors who are having to run a business. You say, wait, I thought it was church. No, there's a business side. And entree leadership can help you figure out the right way to run your business. It's not cut up your business credit cards. It's how do you run a business. Dave, tell people for just a few seconds about that program.
Well, that product was born for small businesses, and that includes churches, of course, because leadership is needed in all of those things. And it basically is the playbook of how we grew Ramsey from a card table in my living room. All the mistakes we've made, don't make those, and the leadership errors and the good things that we did, the smart things we've learned. And so we shared that playbook in a best-selling book back in 2012, and it continues to be a huge movement, a huge brand, a huge tribe. We do a huge conference every year. This year it'll be in Dallas, and the Entree Leadership Summit, which is what you guys came to. And it's a fun product. We enjoy working on it. I enjoy helping small business people and people that are struggling with leadership, because I was that guy for so long.
Whole team taught the whole week. It was amazing. I remember sitting there. It was 2010, I think. You might correct me. It might be at 11, but it was the year the iPad came out because I'd just gotten one, and long conference talks, not my thing. iPad, new flashy. I can play with that. And I remember, Adrienne, you or somebody was talking about vendors and HR departments, and I'm starting this thing on a card table. I'm like, I'm going to play on my iPad. She elbows me. What are you going to do when there are 100 people working for us and you didn't pay attention right now? I'm like,
Oh, God, brutal.
And I said, you think we're going to have 100 people working for you? She said, you don't? And right then I realized, okay, that's the best search I ever did. Pay attention, because she was right. And you may think I'm too small a business. You don't know. You don't know. And so, Dave, one of the habits that I want to focus on, you've helped me be prepared for things. And when things come down the pike, you've been kind to help me understand what you've done and not done over the years. It feels like when it comes to money, particularly, being prepared might be one of the more critical habits. Have you found that with people who seem to make it and become a millionaire? I know you've done a big study on those folks. What have you learned about preparedness and the world of managing our money?
One of the things we found about world-class leaders and world-class and people that build wealth also, and sometimes those overlap, is that they don't think in short blocks of time. Where there is no vision, the people perish. They think about, when they're making a decision about money or making a decision in leadership, they're thinking about how that's going to affect them 10 years from now, not 10 minutes from now. And, if you want to think like rich people, think about 10 years from now. If I buy this car, how does it affect me 10 years from now? If I keep this person who's misbehaving, how's it going to affect our organization 10 years from now? And so setting your vision out there further causes you to be prepared, and it causes you to put in place systems and values. And when you have systems and values, your decisions are often made for you. So, like for instance, if you say we have a value of, we don't, in our organization and at Ramsey, we don't have a tolerance for people who steal. And so when someone steals, the decision is already made. Now, around our place, thankfully, that's not something that ever happens. Another one would be a value is that we don't mistreat people inside the organization. So when someone inside the organization mistreats someone, depending on the severity of it, we either go through you get one more strike and you're out, or the severity is you just can't be a part of Ramsey because you opted out with this behavior. And it's real painful. The execution of the decision, letting someone go that you love and they made a mistake and all that. But some of the mistakes are, you can't leave them in the organization. And so, but the decision was already made. You were prepared by having a value in place. This is our value. Or having a process in place, you were prepared.
Let me push back on you, Dave. You're running a big company. You probably got 1,000 employees. I'm just running a little old thing over here. That doesn't all apply to me. I mean, you're talking about big, famous millionaires that have hundreds of people working. Isn't that what a normal millionaire looks like? I mean, you talk about prepared. That doesn't really apply to a normal guy like me, right?
Well, I mean, if you want to be rich people, do rich people stuff. If you want to be a world-class leader, even if you've got 3 people working for you, do world-class leader stuff. And world-class leader stuff is world-class building wealth, having this value system and having the process in place. In the money side, it would be like, okay, I'm the little pig that built the brick house instead of the other 2 pigs, right? Be the 3rd pig, right? So what's that mean? It means we're out of debt. We have an emergency fund in place. We have a plan. We're aiming at the future. And so when something like a Fauci pandemic comes at you, then you've got to say, okay, how can I adjust and maneuver in the middle of these outside variables? But I'm in the storm, but I'm in a brick house. I built my house not upon the sand, Christ said, but upon the rock. And so spiritually, I built my house on Jesus, but not more importantly, less importantly, I've got the money piece where I'm in a solid place. I'm on solid ground. Same thing in your organization. You're in a solid place, in a solid ground. If you don't have a budget inside your organization that you're managing the project to, then no one knows if their expenses are out of hand. When we do a live event, we have a budget for that live event. And if a vendor comes in on that line item too high, then we know we've either got to get a different vendor, we got to negotiate with that vendor, or we got to change a line item. But we're bumping up against something because we were prepared. We had a budget in place. We had a timeline in place. And if you make it up as you go, thank God it's Friday. Oh, God, it's thinking Monday. 10 years out, you're always going to make horrible decisions.
Oh, well, I was watching Keeping Up With. You guys just did. I love data and seeing what data proves out. And you guys just did was it the biggest study ever of millionaires? Or is that an overstatement?
We did. Yeah, 10,167 millionaires we studied, and we figured out exactly what a millionaire in America looks like. And that's like data. It's fact.
So that's what really caught my eye, because the thing about the Be the Unicorn book is like, oh, I could never be a unicorn. I wasn't the quarterback of the football team or the head cheerleader. I didn't do a good job of being born. I don't have. What is a typical millionaire? The prepared, who have budgets in place and make it to the level of millionaire, which I would say probably is unicorn level. What does a millionaire look like?
Well, we know that 79% of America's millionaires did not inherit a dime. We know another 5% inherited a small amount, like grandmother left them $5,000 and mathematically could not cause them to be a millionaire. And we know another 5% received a substantial inheritance, like $250,000, after they were already millionaires. So 79 and 5 is 89. That means 9 out of 10 of America's millionaires did not become millionaires because of an inheritance. The average GPA is about 3.1 GPA in college, if they went to college, okay? The average time it takes is about 17 years. We found these set things. The top 5 categories were all process people in their careers. The number 1 category was engineer. Number 2 was accountant. Number 3 was teacher. That becomes millionaires.
Dave?
Teachers. Number 3 most likely of all career
teachers
fields.
Teachers don't get paid anything.
Some of them don't, but some of them do, but they're process people.
That's what I'm driving at.
Yeah, and 33% of the people that become millionaires never made 6 figures. So that also aligns with the fact that teachers can become millionaires. And then the fourth is business. The fifth is attorney. Medical doctors didn't even make the top five because they're notoriously make a lot of money, but arrogant and mess up their money like athletes do and that kind of thing. So, but if you look at those five careers, we couldn't figure it out at first. What do they all have in common? Attorneys, engineers, accountants, teachers, business executives. They all are process people. They all follow a process. A teacher follows a lesson plan. An attorney has a certain decorum and things they have to do in the courtroom or the judge will smack them sideways. The law dictates that. If you build a bridge a certain way, it doesn't fall. An engineer, if you build it another way, there's only one way to do accounting. Accounting is not art. You don't get to make yours up. There's generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. That's only one way to do accounting. Every other way you do accounting is wrong. And so these are process people. So they find the process of building wealth, putting money in their 401k, getting their house paid off, and they become millionaires over 17 years on average. And so, but again, there's nothing sexy about any of this being prepared thing. It's a Boy Scout thing. It's kind of boring. Being the third pig it's not flashy. You're just the guy with the brick house and everybody else is out partying while you're building your freaking house. And so the same thing's true in leadership. You're making leadership decisions. What are you doing to be prepared? What are you doing to be prepared? Am I actually reading books? Do I read nonfiction books, or am I really up on TikTok? That's a bad choice right there. Okay, there's a good choice and a bad choice in that. And so, what causes you to be prepared to take the next promotion that comes along? Causes you to be prepared to take advantage of an opportunity that walks through the door, but you weren't ready because you hadn't done the work to get ready. And all of these things fall in that same bucket.
I play a fair amount of golf growing up. I wasn't in anything you'd write home about, but I did play a lot and then quit when the kids were little and business was growing. Started back, and it took me till I was 51 to realize the way you win at golf is avoid mistakes. Mm-hmm. It's not about hitting cool shots. Like you watch Tiger, he never really went that low with his scoring. He just stayed out of trouble. And I was playing golf with a guy he just kicked my rear end. He didn't do anything exciting the entire round. We were sitting around having lunch after, and I asked him what he did for a living. He said, well, my father-in-law was one of the first in the Berkshire Hathaway circle, so we were going to, So we were going to Warren's meetings, and I was a kid, so he took me along. So I kind of got in early on all that. And I said, so what'd you learn? He said, invest in boring things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like golf. It's not about hitting a flop shot or a long drive. It's about just avoid mistakes, stay prepared. When you think about preparedness, Dave, what's a lesson that you know now that you didn't know when you were younger? Thinking back to even before the company got going, what have you learned about preparedness that a younger you could have learned earlier?
Well, I'm an excellent salesman. And I'm also have a gift as an entrepreneur to make money. And those two things in an immature version of Dave were really dangerous because it led me to the conclusion that I could always make money. If you can sell, you can always make money, and if you're an entrepreneur, you just come up with another idea, you can always make money. And I thought it gave me a pass on being prepared, meaning I thought I could out-earn my stupidity. And you can't out-earn your stupid. You got to fix your stupid and then go make some money because it's just like the golf shot. It's you chunk it in the woods, you chunk it in the woods, you chunk it in the woods, and then you drop one right there for a 4-foot birdie. But that one is not going to offset those three doubles, or three triples, right? You can't make up that scorecard. That scorecard's screwed because you just chunked it in the woods. But you got that one shot in your bag, but it's not going to land there by the pin often enough to even be a good recreational golfer, much less semi-competitive. So same thing's true here. I just thought I could out-earn it. So I really didn't have good systems in place. I didn't have good preparedness in place. That's why I went broke the first time. I was just out running around like the hare rather than the tortoise, running from place to place at high speed. And there was a lot of activity. It was blinding how fast we were moving. But man, the effort we were putting forth to accomplish that, it was very poor placed effort. And so we were deeply in debt. We had no money, no cash. And so when the bank started calling notes on us, it caused us to lose everything we owned because I was stupid. And I'd built a house of cards, which is, again, trying to out earn your stupidity.
That's like people who are going to exercise off all the bad eating.
Yeah. You cannot outrun a Big Mac.
No. You should go on radio. You're quick. I think that's a great place to end it. Guys, if you're tuning in, what we've been talking about is the art of being prepared. It's one of the 12 habits we found at the very best of the best. And Dave's been kind enough to share with us, but he is so much more than preparedness. What's the best way for people to read the latest things you're working on, Dave?
Just check us out at RamseySolutions.com. Everything in the world you want to know about Ramsey's there. The YouTube shows, the podcasts, the events we do, the books and everything we put out. But honor to be with you again, my friend.
Same to you, Dave. Really appreciate your friendship over the years. And thank you for joining us today. Tune in again and we'll focus on another unicorn habit.